I am now going to ask Dr. Valesky to please give us an update on what has happened since our last board meeting 2 weeks ago in terms of security-related items for the school district. Dr. Valesky?
Thank you. So, without a doubt, this school board's swift and decisive decision at their last board meeting on February 15th to add active-duty East Brunswick officers to our schools drew both national and international attention. The sheer expediency of the implementation of this new phase to our already robust facility security should provide the entire East Brunswick community with comfort in knowing that this plan, initially proposed by Chief Conroy, was over 2 years in development. It was simply on the shelf and ready to be implemented at the appropriate time. February 14th, when another school shooting occurred, was that time. Essential to East Brunswick's success has been the thoughtful investigation in this board's discussion over the last 4 years about how security should be enhanced and financed in all of our facilities. That planning and progressive thinking among both current and former board members and administrators since 2014 has led to enhancements in school access control, perimeter and surveillance monitoring security at all school facilities. All of those initiatives have been accomplished as the result of careful budget planning and monitoring. The board's latest decision was a continuation of that effort. Any effort of this magnitude is typically restricted by the availability of funding. Our finance team ensured that funding was immediately available to convert the board's vote into action. Officers were scheduled at all district schools this past Monday, February 26th. Furthermore, we have planned a formal introduction of police officers and assemblies at each of our 8 elementary schools through EBPD's Community Policing Grant and their officer-friendly presentation. Over the past 2 years, we have fully integrated our own EBPS security force of school security officers, also known as SSOs, and our one district resource officer known as an SRO, who is on loan from EBPD. The board and administration know that physical security and additional appropriately trained security personnel are merely components of a comprehensive security plan and response. Equally important are the relationships built with students along with the programs we actively have in place to support the social and emotional wellness of our diverse student population. I want to express appreciation on behalf of the Board of Education and the administration to Chief Conroy and Captain Zebro, who have been enormously accessible to me and visible during this strategic addition to our security team, as well as our own Paul Nataluccio, Coordinator of School Safety and Security, and Mr. John Kosick from the Township Emergency Management. Our security will never be finalized. We will continue to investigate, review, analyze, and recommend enhancements to the Board of Education in areas of personnel, hardware, procedures, and protocols. I would like to thank the East Brunswick community for their support. We continue to tighten security at every single district venue, whether it is while students are present or at an evening district event. And everyone has responded with understanding. We are committed to making school feel just like, well, school. But with our security presence as part of the building's community, not necessarily overt. Always there to protect every child, staff, or visiting community member each and every day. Lastly, we are aware of a national student movement being organized for March 14th. Each secondary principal is working with student leaders on options for student voices to be put into action in a safe and appropriate manner. With that, I would like to introduce Chief Conroy from EBPD, who will also add a little insight from the police perspective. Chief Conroy?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chief Jim Conroy. I'd like to start off by thanking the Board of Education for having me here tonight and giving me the opportunity to speak. We can all agree that nothing is more precious than our children and the protection of innocent life. Unfortunately, we live in a time where the unthinkable seems to be a daily reality. where children and adults are victimized. It's hard to comprehend why incidents such as Parkland, Florida occur, but unfortunately this is part of the world that we live in. As a parent of 3 school-age children, I cannot fathom the unimaginable pain that the Parkland community and those families are going through, and I know they are all in our thoughts and prayers. As Chief of Police, my responsibility is the protection and safety of our community through a collaborative relationship with our residents, and that's why I am here tonight. My concerns for the children and young adults in our community are also obviously shared by School Superintendent Dr. Valesky and his staff. I want to stress that the East Brunswick Board of Education already has an excellent and comprehensive school security program in place. And the East Brunswick Police Department is simply here to continue our partnership and to make it even better. East Brunswick police officers in our schools is nothing new. We have taught in our schools and been involved in school security in different capacities for decades. Our police department's school resource detective was reinstituted at the East Brunswick High School in 2016, and the results have been outstanding. We've seen an increase in positive relationships between students, police, and the Board of Education. Also, having a full-time detective at our high school gives us the opportunity to identify students who are in crisis and get them the assistance they need, while providing a real deterrent and a safe environment for students and staff. My officers also already attend lockdown drills at schools. They provide directed patrols at schools, and they also provide security at special events. Some people are concerned with the idea of police officers in schools and are not convinced it is a positive measure. However, when you look at the community policing philosophy at the East Brunswick Police Department, people can see that there are only positives that can come from a better relationship between students, staff, and officers at additional schools in our district. Besides the fact that having a fully trained East Brunswick police officer is the best deterrent in defense against violence in our schools, the benefits go well past that. Like teachers, our officers are parents, role models, and leaders in our community. Our officers are women and men of honor, integrity, and character who care deeply about our community and especially our children. I am pleased to say that there are additional East Brunswick police officers working throughout our district schools to assist with security. For security reasons, I'm not going to comment on the number of officers, their locations, or their hours. To do so would undermine our security plan. I would also like to say that security in our schools is under constant evaluation by the Board of Education, and the East Brunswick Police Department will always be there to assist them in the future. All of you can assist as well. If you have an idea or suggestion, please reach out to us, because together we can all work on safeguarding our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Conroy. And if you allow me, as a third component of this presentation, we wanted to share with this audience and the broader community the social and emotional supports that we already have in place for our students, which is obviously a huge component of our security procedures, processes, and protocols. And with that, Mrs. Danielle Blaylock will offer that presentation.
I don't think I'm as tall as Chief Conroy. So, good evening. My name is Danielle Blaylock, and I'm the Supervisor of Student Services. Oftentimes people ask me, well, what is that? And I explain that my departments, which consist of the nurses, the health teachers, and the student assistance specialists, serve the social, emotional, and physical wellness of our students here in East Brunswick. That is our work. That is what we do. So what does that look like? We plan and implement all of the social and emotional wellness programming, including individual and small group counseling, school-wide activities that support positive school climate, mental health, and wellness. Unfortunately, as Chief said, the time that we live in our society is a scary one. So the kids need us. The work that we do day in and day out is needed. So let me take a minute to reintroduce myself. I'm Danielle Blaylock, and I'm a mom of 2 elementary school kids in this district. And for those of you that don't know me, my husband and I practically bleed green and white. We grew up here. We are products of this district. We chose to come back here in the field of education because we believe in the education that this town is giving children. But most importantly, we chose to raise our children here. Why? Because we know that East Brunswick has the academics. We've got that. We're great at that. But we also know that East Brunswick values social and emotional wellness. That is my work. That is my passion. And I feel that if we do not have kids feeling connected in our schools, feeling safe, feeling well, that they will not be present to learn academically. So it is equally as important as the academics that we provide. So as a mom, it's a really scary world. Mental illness is on the rise everywhere. No one is immune. And if I could keep my kids in a bubble and carry them around in my pocket, I probably would. But we can't. So what can we do? We can continue to do what we have already been doing, which is valuing and supporting mental health, creating positive school climates, and teaching social and emotional learning. I tell my SACs that they have the hardest job because it is quiet, it is private, it is confidential, and it is not as easily seen or identifiable. There's not awards for mental health counseling. I gave them a plaque a few years ago with a quote on it that was adopted from a memoir called Carry On Warrior. And it says, "Counsel on warriors. You are the first responders. You are the front line, the disconnection detectives, the best hope that we've got for a better world. What you do every day when no one is watching is our best hope." So I'd like to invite you just to take a minute to visit the Student Services webpage to learn a little bit more about some of the things that we've been doing. If we could go to, when you go to the main page, if you keep scrolling down, if you want to click on that little tree. So this part of our webpage focuses on all of the social and emotional programming that we have district-wide. This doesn't account for the individual programmings that are also going on in the specific schools, because each school has its own safety and climate team that is charged with determining what are the individual needs of that school and doing additional programming. So this is just across the district, evidence-based programs that we've brought into the district. Sources of Strength was kind of my baby. Thanks to the board's support, we were able to bring that in. We're in our 4th year of inception. The program has grown to be tremendous in our secondary schools. We use these kids to come down and teach lessons, anti-bullying lessons, friendship, conflict resolution lessons to our elementary students. I know some of the board members were able to attend the training that we had again in the summer, and additional training. So that's been tremendous. Our schools also have mentor programs, again, matching role models, positive adults, so that kids feel connected when they come to school. We have the Alveus Bullying Prevention Program, another evidence-based program, which we've had for years. Our SACs also got retrained in it last summer, and next summer we will be using that training to retrain our safety and climate teams. That's what we're working on right now. The second step curriculum is the social and emotional learning curriculum that has been in our health classes, K-8, since, I think we're about 10 years in on that. predates me. But that program, we actually rewrote the health curriculum this past summer in 4th and 5th grade, brought in additional resources, web resources to continue to support Second Step. We also have PBSIS in some of our schools, which also came in through a grant program. This has continued to grow, focuses on positive behavioral supports, building that school climate, connecting students to feeling comfortable and safe in their environment. We brought in Superflex district-wide 3 years ago, which is used kindergarten through 2nd grade. If there's any elementary parents out there, you know how cute it is. We have the Superflex character that's defeating all the unthinkables that come into your brain. It's learning about the ways that kids respond to things. We have Blurred Out Blue, who any parents probably have a kid that's a blurred out blue, has a hard time controlling their thinking. There's a Glass Man, there's Mean Gene, who says mean things, but Superflex uses his flexible thinking to overcome these unthinkables. It's a really cute program in elementary school. Then we have the safety and climate teams, as I've spoken about before. That came into place after the ABR changed, the HIB laws changed in the state. Each school has its own safety and climate team that meets on an average monthly to do planning, to review any trends in the building that need to be addressed. Then we have our counseling services, of course. We do individual and group counseling. All of the counselors are running counseling support groups, have been for a very long time. Parents can always feel free to reach out to the SAC in the building and request that their child be part of one of the groups that are being run or be seen individually for support. Our staff is also very active with the Traumatic Loss Coalition for Middlesex County. They have monthly meetings. We rotate participation in those meetings, get a lot of training through there. They've also come out and helped us to develop a crisis response manual in the event that we did have a traumatic event in East Brunswick. We have an emotional response of how we would, respond to such events. So they've been very supportive. And then we have assembly programs, and this is just a highlight. One of my favorites is the More Than Just That assembly, where high school students, we've been doing this for 6 years now. Dr. Gaskell always requests that we come back. High school students go down to Hammersholt and share stories about how they went through a difficult time, but how they were able to rely on their coping mechanisms and their coping strategies that they've been taught through the school to overcome that. And then after the program, students who related to one of the stories are allowed to come down to the guidance office and process that experience with those high school speakers as well as school counselors. So it's a really great experience. They develop friendships, they develop relationships. That's one of my favorites. Then we also have up there, let's see, our Sources of Strength. As I said, we bring the high school students from Sources of Strength, a group of them, to all of our elementary schools. They work with the 4th and 5th graders on things like inclusion, exclusion. They go to lunch with them, go to recess. They do they do a whole group lesson, a whole group assembly, and then they do breakouts in the classrooms. It's also a really nice experience for all our kids. We've been doing that for 4 years. And then, of course, at all the elementary schools, we celebrate Great Kindness, the Great Kindness Challenge. They do kickoff assemblies, and the whole week is a celebration of kind acts towards others. So, this is really just a sampling, as I said, of some of the programming. These are things that are pretty much district-wide. But if you had any questions about individual schools, what things are being done, you certainly could reach out to that individual school. If there's any parents that need supportive services for their children, I would encourage you to reach out to the SAC. They're a very talented group of mental health professionals filled with resources and support, so I would welcome you. Conferences are a great time to reach out to the SAC and come in and visit and discuss any concerns that you might have. But I guess I'd just like to close by saying that whether I'm in the supervisor role or the mom role, I'm confident that my children are in the right place, because in East Brunswick, we value mental health, we value positive school climate, we value social and emotional learning, and we will continue to do the good fight, to fight the good fight, and to do the hard work to support our kids.